Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to another episode 7 of the Lunch Line, where I get to give you guys some updates and talk about things regarding the channel, as it's been a while since we have had the last episode. I think maybe it was back in August or something like that. I'll tag it at the end of this video if you want to hear that one, but I was like, I probably need to give you guys some updates regarding where things are at. But first, let me get some housekeeping out of the way in terms of what's happening here on the YouTube channel. The first is Q&A. I think it's been some months, if not longer, since I've done my last Q&A here on the channel. So this video will be used to where you can ask your questions in the comments below, and I'll answer them in an upcoming Q&A video, which I'll do Monday of next week before Christmas. So drop your questions below. I'll answer them regarding if it's World of Warships related, gaming related, or like life related, if you want to know a little bit more about me with what I can answer and whatnot. There'll also be on the FlimsyLunchTray Discord server, I'll have a designated Discord text channel where you can submit your questions as well. Prefer that you keep maybe within 2 questions, no more than 2, just to make sure I have time to get through everyone's questions, since I don't do these too regularly, so to speak. So have at it with those questions. The other thing is also with this video, maybe it's too much to put on this video alone, but it felt like it made sense, is I want to start doing, I don't know how I'm going to do this, I want to start doing a feedback every so often, where you know what content I'm putting on the channel, if I'm in tune with you guys, so to speak, and what you are wanting to see, or you know, some of the content that I'm known for, I guess, here with the channel. So I would really appreciate any feedback you can give. If there are things that, hey Flimsy, you used to do this but you don't do it anymore, I'd like to, you can circle back to that. I know, like, for example, with the Friday highlight upgrade commander build videos, I have been totally out of sync with that. And that's mainly just because I was finishing grinding the remaining tier 10 ships in the game outside of CVs and subs, which I now have all tier 10 ships in the game, except some CVs, and I don't have any tier 10 submarines because that's what free XP is for. And I'm also deeply in need of credits. But so those will be coming back again soon. I'm really hoping to do a Ting Shi Friday highlight and upgrade commander build video this coming Saturday, or Saturday. But if there's things that you're interested to get more of my thoughts on, I think just please let me know in the comments. Affirm what's good. Give me critiques if there's something more you want to see, or that I should be taking into consideration that I'm not. I can't please everybody, of course, but as a whole, I'll kind of take your guys' feedback and kind of sum it up and help give me some direction as a content creator, because it's nice that I can just kind of make and put out whatever videos I want to, right? But it gives me joy when you guys are actually engaged with the content and you're seeing the type of feedback that you want. So I felt like it was maybe time to kind of have an alignment, so to speak. So I would like to have that in the comments as well. So maybe if you give some feedback and you submit a question for the Q&A, just kind of differentiate them. Like, this is feedback right underneath, Q&A right underneath, something like that. Yeah, so that's kind of the housekeeping things out of the way. But I need to circle back on to the last episode that I did. Some of you are here who are newer, if I give a very brief context. I think one of which was, I think I got it all figured out by then, was I built a new PC this summer, and it has been working awesome. Outside of 2 things, and one is I'm having some issues with some of the LED lighting, which I know some of you will probably critique, like, why bother with LED? But there's something with the Lian what is it, update, that's, I can get one of the fans to listen, but not the other trifecta to listen, so I'm exploring that. And then I need to get this different cable to get another fan. It works, but there is only so many RGB slots for fans on the motherboard that I have, so I kind of got to get one that brings the whole package together. But other than that, the PC has been amazingly awesome. It's been performing like really well. So maybe I'll drop a picture of it here in the comments or in the video so you guys can see it. So PC build has been very, very good since the last time I talked about it. The other thing I referenced in the last lunch line video was the banks in Norway. So if you don't know, you're new to the channel, I'm an American, but I live and I work in Norway, and married Mrs. Flimsy. We have been here for almost 5 years now, which is crazy to think about. And most time we've lived here, we've been living in an apartment, but we're ready to take the next step in getting a house. And I vented pretty hardcore last time, actually, about the whole process and the regulations here in Norway of buying homes has been like really strict. But there's actually some changes have come in, and we're still living in the apartment, but we're hoping maybe between January or March we can finally buy a house. It's mainly because the government decided to make some changes. Here in Norway, it has been, well, this is a whole bunch of stuff, which I'll like briefly summarize. If you don't have like a permanent residency, you got to put 25% down on down payment on whatever house property you're going to buy. If you have residency or you have citizenship, then you only required to put 15% down. But then sometimes the banks can differ. If like I'm on a permanent residency, but Mrs. Flimsy's on a family visa, they would really like to see her on a permanent residency, but other banks aren't so strict with that. As long as one of you has the permanent residency, then only 15% down. But then the new change is it's now starting in January. It's going to be 10% down payment, which that honestly wasn't the big issue for us. The bigger issue was the other thing that the government's now emphasizing for people in Norway, or I guess more with the banks, is the ability for the banks to more individually assess families with children, among others, of their own financial capacity to service a loan. For example, you can get max 5 times your annual salary as a loan, which is pretty rare to get the full 5 times. But they viewed Mrs. Flimsy as a dependent because her income's not super high. And so they cut out a lot of the money of what they would give us for a loan. But one of the things that they would use is there's this kind of, I don't know what it stands for. It's called the SIFIO's reference budget. And they kind of used this in a very negative way against us, where they were nickeling and diming us out of money of what they would give us for a loan. So, for example, like one of the bank ladies, well, Mrs. Flimsy's going to have her hair done at a salon every month, so we have to factor that in. And as a result, like what we would loan you is lessened even because of just a hair salon. Like it is that picky, right? So the government came out, and if I translate this right, it says, there are signs that banks are using too many standard figures, example, the SIFO's reference budget, for the expenses of families with children, and taking too few individual considerations into account when assessing the ability to service the loan. The regulations do not prevent banks from making individual assessments of borrowers' expenses. The government emphasizes that banks can make individual assessments of debt servicing ability and take into account economies of scale in families with many children, as an example. So with how strict they were with this reference budget, they were really pushing us out of getting the size of loan we'd need to buy a house, because it's quite common here to buy like townhouses or like permanent apartments that you live out of, as an example. But we want a house, and that's for multiple reasons, not just once, but also needs. And it's nice now that the government's saying, hey, stop being so strict, essentially. So we even had a meeting. We went into our local bank today, talking with them, and when we told the lady, I was not. I mean, maybe it came across as bragging, but I come from a very blue collar, Midwest background, where honesty goes a long way. You work for you. As the man of the house, you provide, and you do all these things, which Norway's kind of socialism system it doesn't factor that in so well. because there's a system and you work with the system, and if you don't work with the system, you don't conform with the system. If you fall outside of the system, it's actually quite difficult, I think, as a whole, to live in Norway. I see this especially among men that I help, like African men, other American men, Canadian men, because the system just kind of eats away more as your independency as a man and provider as a man, right? It kind of challenges those things with how the system works here in Norway. So I was explaining some of our like finances, and like I'm working on this like detailed Excel spreadsheet document to show our income and expenses, because Mrs. Flimsy and I like live like we're like minimalist in a certain sense. Like we don't spend a lot of money like to go travel the world and like do all these things. Like when I do travel, like it's work covered and stuff like that abroad. And we're very simple people. We like going northern light hunting. We like going at the beach. We like doing hikes in Norway. We like photography. I like having internet and gaming online and making YouTube content, right? So we don't live this like luxurious life of like eating out all the time, or, you know, going to see movies and all that. So we live quite well, comfortably. But I'm pretty sure I almost made the Norwegian bank lady fall out of her chair when I told her, just like in terms of like, yeah, like we make this much, and we pay this much like for our rent, which it went up not too long ago. And she about fell out of her chair. And I'm like, yeah, like we can handle a larger loan than, that's my main point here. It's like we can handle a larger loan than what you guys have been willing to offer us in the past. So that's been a whole like frustrating roundabout thing. So nice that the government is like keeping people like us in mind at least. But some economists here are going to believe that the housing market price will likely go up because you've made the house market more accessible to people when you go from 15% down to 10% down, and more of an emphasis for banks to assess individual needs. So we want to get into the market quite fast, starting in the new year. So no, I've not moved. Mrs. Swims and I haven't moved yet. That will probably come sometime early next year, maybe between January and March. So there'll probably be a lapse on the channel when that day comes. But really excited to like get out of the apartment. Like it's like gnawing away at me. I'm ready to start like not spending so much for rent, even though we live at a phenomenal place. Our landlord's been absolutely amazing. He's like been the bomb. Can't express how grateful they've been. But we're ready for the next phase, because it means things like being able to buy a dog. I've always grown up with dogs most all my life, so I've been some years now without owning a dog because of where we live now. We're not able to have one. So that's something very excited, and just it brings a house, and getting more of your own independency brings a lot of things that I cherish and like want to work towards that. Don't necessarily have right now, but also when you're a foreigner trying to figure out the Norwegian system, I'm halfway decent with Norwegian. Like I can understand more than I can speak, and I have to use a good bit of Norwegian in my writing and speaking and listening, even if my ears aren't always listening, because it requires a lot of active listening when I'm listening to Norwegian to be able to like understand it. But it's challenging. Norway is a challenging place for sure to move into. Maybe it depends on what country you come from, but I see some people struggle more than others. Like I think people from Germany, I have some German friends, and they seem to get along better here in Norway than maybe what I see like Americans or Africans at times, just because certain things aren't so different. But yeah, it depends on your foreign experience. So there's me diving into the foreign experience, the international experience of moving into another country like Norway. Other things to talk about with today's video, probably like in terms of game, World of Warships. I've played this game since fall of 2019. And it's only till now that I've got most all tier 10 ships in the game. Like I have 3 carriers. I have Essex, Midway, and Audacious. I don't have any tier 10 submarines, and I don't have any other tier 10 CVs, even though I've researched multiple of them, just I don't have enough credits to buy them yet. But But it's like, wow, like that took a really long time for me to do. I mean, maybe others, of course, if you have more time on your hand, can grind through the game a lot sooner. If you're, I've never spent real life money on credits from the premium shop in the game. I'm just like, I'll just play my premium ships. I've got enough green boosters and things like that. So we can get there slowly but surely, because that's one of the things I like with the free-to-play games. Like when you can progress through the game as much as possible without having to spend money. And I haven't spent, I actually, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, like I spend more money on you guys now than myself when it comes to playing World of Warships. I'm particularly referencing the giveaways. The next one will still be a bit out. But like still, like I'm only spending like, you know, $5 or $10 here and there. So I think I spend more money on you guys now in World of Warships than I do on me when I do the giveaways. So that's kind of funny, but I just, you know, as this game evolves, like I have some videos, maybe I can get into my Christmas break. I have about 2 weeks off, starts next week. And I want to do a video talking more about certain things that's been interesting to see develop in the game. And I don't want to give too much of that away, but it'll be I think it'll be a good video to kind of get more into the details of the game, of, you know, just seeing how it's progressed in the last 5 years, so to speak. So that'll be coming soon. Yeah, I think that's about it. I don't want to make this video too long, but an update of, you know, yours truly, FlimsyLunchTray with the lunch line. Apparently saying that really fast was difficult and get tongue-tied. So yeah, so I think it's going to bring the video to a close. So I hope you liked today's video. Getting to vent a little bit, maybe with the Norwegian system, but also, of course, appreciate any feedback you can give us in the progress of how the channel is going. If there's certain things you want to see more of or less of, or maybe I need to pay attention to something a little bit more that I haven't been as a content creator. Like, you know, for me, I have a very heavy emphasis, like, that you as the community, like, make it possible to do what I do in this little side hobby hustle in the world of YouTube that I have greatly enjoyed what's come with it over the last several years. And then Q&A. So if you have questions, drop those in the comments below, and I'll answer them as best as I can, to the extent that I can, in Monday next week leading up to Christmas. I will have a Santa container opening extravaganza, Santa gift containers. I'm just waiting to collect more containers. I think I have 15 or 16 mega gift containers, and the rest are all Santa's gift containers. I think I'm like sitting on 59 containers right now, but I want to get some more, and then I'll open them. So it'll be after Christmas before I do that video. So that being said, if you liked this video, give a thumbs up. If you didn't, give a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you're subscribed, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. Until next time, take care.